Welcome back to Legacy Builders, everybody. We've got some special guests on here today. I'm going to have my dad introduce them.
Yes, we are so honored to have Greg and Mickey Taylor with us. They're great friends here from church. I'm getting to know them at a higher level, and they just are just dynamite couple, dynamite individuals. Mickey has an awesome real estate business and just great family mom, and Greg's tearing it up with his Winning Edge business and leadership coaching. And I'm just honored to know them, and just very, very appreciative that you guys would take the time to share with us and share with our audience just some wisdom on building legacy and just family values and how to help the next generation go to the next level. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for being
Thank you all. We appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well, we're excited to have you guys here. Let's start with just how many grandchildren, how many children that you guys have.
We have 2 sons, and both are married, and one of them has our grandchildren. We have 3 grandchildren.
Oh,
Nice.
so sweet.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
And 3 grand dogs.
Makes me
And
smile.
3 grand dogs.
Yeah.
I'll just throw that in.
They're important.
I could get some brownie points by throwing that in there.
So,
Oh man, that's great.
Very nice. So tell us a little bit about yourself. That's your family. I know I just kind of gave a big intro, but anything you tell us a little bit of background of you guys.
Go ahead. You go first.
Of us personally, or of our immediate family?
No, you.
Of us?
Let's start with you personally.
You want me to do it for you? You want me to speak for you?
Well, back when I was 2, no. Yeah, so I grew up in a military family. My father was a retired general in the Army,
Oh,
very
wow.
strict, very commanding. And my mom was just biggest heart in the world. And why does it make me cry all of a sudden? What in the world?
No, that's awesome.
You got a big heart like your mama.
She's incredibly kind.
Right.
Both my parents have passed already, but yeah, we grew up moving around all the time, almost yearly. But Greg and I met in college at Western Kentucky University. I'll let you go from there.
How many years have y'all been together?
34 next month.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Can you believe she put up with me for 34 years?
It's been an ordeal.
That face said it all, Mickey. No, I'm just kidding.
Did she give that? What kind of facial expression?
You'll have to go back and watch it.
I don't know if I love your humor, Maddie, and you're laughing and a beautiful smile, but that could be towards me and I don't even know it, so it's okay.
So you met in Kentucky, and you're going to take it from there. So what?
So she didn't say, but she was actually born in Munich, Germany. So
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's been moving with the military. He tries to tell everybody that I'm not even a U.S. citizen.
Well, I wasn't going to say that. I didn't but I got you anyway.
Okay. But this was a Kentucky boy I met.
Yeah, my mom and dad was actually born and raised in a coal mining camp in southeast Kentucky, which I lived in the camp till I was like 3 years old.
Okay.
So they had a fence around it, and they had their own script. They had, the company, the coal company owned the doctors, the schools, the general stores, everything that was inside that camp. That's all you needed.
Oh.
So that's where my mom and dad was born and raised, and I lived there until I was 3 years old. Then we moved out of there. My dad was a high school football coach, principal. I actually graduated high school from Corbin High School. I was an athlete, won a state championship in football, played football at Western Kentucky University, and that's where we met Mickey. And then we got married. Then we moved to Cookeville, Tennessee, and we lived there for 8 years. So we have just some very dear, very long-lasting friendships in Cookeville, Tennessee.
Our boys were both born there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then now
Then we
from
moved
Cookeville, now you're.
Now we headed back to Corbin.
Okay.
Kentucky.
So we stayed in Cookeville for roughly 8 years, and we went back to Corbin for roughly about 7 to 8 years. I started my own transportation company, and we went from 0 to $20 million in 4.5 years. Then 9/11 hit. Then we went from 20 to 0 a heck of a lot faster. So
Oh, wow.
that was a joke. No, it wasn't a joke, but it's real. But it's a joke.
Yeah.
That's a part of the journey.
Yeah.
Then we got to make a long story short. We had a great job opportunity to move to Shreveport, Louisiana. So then that's when we moved to Shreveport, Louisiana. Basically, our boys went from second through the 12th grade there in Shreveport, Louisiana. And the long story short is I went down there for spiritual training.
Okay.
Well, my mom, when she found out we were moving from Corbin, that's where my family's from, Corbin, Kentucky. And my mom, I went to her church to get prayed for before we were moving. And it's like this glow came about her. And she said, God's given me peace that you're moving, that you're going down there for spiritual training.
Wow.
Boy, did we.
Oh, really?
And yes, we did. Yes, we did. We just found a beautiful, awesome church school. It's a church and school connected together. Shreveport Community Church, Evangel Christian Academy. So I knew that was good because they love God and they love football. So I like So my problem is I love football a little bit more than I love God.
Yeah.
So they taught me it's okay to love football, but you got to love God first. So.
Right. Well, one of the things that really impresses me with you guys, I told Greg this, and just your family, the where you are today. I know there's a journey and a process to get where you are today, and just the way I see you guys interact, your family. I mean, it's so awesome. I'm like, man, I just want to pick your brain on some stuff. And as we're starting to develop our Legacy Builders podcast, that's why I was like, can I just talk to you guys about some, what's important to you guys? Like when you started now, you have started building legacy, right? And so, what does legacy mean to you? What all of a sudden you went on this journey, you started getting your act together, building family, and now, you got, children, grandchildren, and now you're like, man, there's some things I want to start making sure the next generation knows. Tell us about some of that, the foundational stuff that, that you guys are now teaching, or your kids and your grandkids.
Well, Pastor Peter Stropel defines legacy as something you leave in people, not leave for people.
That's good.
So it's what we do. What do we want to leave in people?
Yeah, we talked about that on one of our sessions, and we appreciate that,
because that's how you make people feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because people will never remember what we gave to them materialistically, but they will always remember how we made them feel.
Right.
So when I started thinking about that, how my boys were going to remember me, it was one of my pivot points to be transformed from a volcano to a missile, because they were not going to have a good memory of me.
So, describe what the difference between a volcano and a missile.
Yeah, we'll get there in a minute.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You've got a whole system to it. Okay, go.
Yeah, you broke my rhythm. Now I'm out of rhythm.
Might as well just do what Mickey says now.
Yeah. So for every one of my grandparents, I got a legacy. For like my Mamaw Tipton's a servant leader. My papa's honor your mother and father. My Mamaw Taylor is being just a willful guide and a loving people. And my grandfather on my dad's side is is the last minute salvation is a legacy. Then her dad's legacy is a warrior. Her mom's legacy is just love everybody. So then my dad's legacy comes to respect, as you saw in one of my weekly fuels that I do in my leadership coaching business.
Yeah.
Because my dad, I never saw my dad disrespect someone. I mean, I saw people run over him, but I never saw him whimper, because I knew he was strong. Because my mom would get on to him about, why are you letting these people run over you? Because as a child, he never had anything. So for him to take something from somebody, to me, in his psyche was saying, why would I want to take that from them? That's all they got. And he's looking at his life. I mean, he's retired, teacher, principal. I've got more than I could ever spend. Why do I want to take something from somebody? Yeah. And he never would let us say anything bad about anybody. That would get you a spanking. I don't know if spanking's good or not, but that's another discussion I'd love to have at some point. But
I got plenty of them.
He respected people. If he disagreed with his brothers or sisters, his aunts or uncles or in-laws, I saw him resolve everything. So,
Mickey, I'm curious. When you talked about your mom, you got really emotional, and so what does legacy mean to you? And like, how did watching your mom be kind to everybody develop your thoughts about it?
Yeah. I think as I was growing up and as I was raising my children, I don't think I was conscious to I'm building a legacy here. I'm creating a legacy. You know, you're just kind of doing life. You're trying to figure it out. There's no real manual. I know our Bibles are manual, but when my son does this particular thing, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do is to make that lasting impression. You know, it's not in a black and white. I need an email from God is what I need.
Well, I've got a great story to share that shows she does have wisdom to handle situations, but go ahead.
But I think, you know, as I got older and, you know, and your parents are aging, so you start thinking about them and their ways a little bit more. And like that just always stood out about my mom is that, you know, if I could think back, and she never, didn't matter who you were, what your lifestyle was, what you're in the middle of crisis in your life, like she was just going to pour into you and love you and welcome you and cook you a meal.
She could
Why am I still emotional?
Why can't
That's
she cook?
awesome.
Now. Hopefully nobody could even hear his smart aleck remark.
Oh.
He said, how come you know cook?
You can.
I can, but it's not what my thrill was. It was hers. But, you know, just watching them when you look back over their lives, and that is something that definitely stood out about her. And you realize, you know, you look at your own life and you go, whew, don't know if I could have loved like she loved in that moment. But now that you've seen an example of it, it's like, I know better, I'll do better kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, Greg, you made a comment here a few minutes ago about your life going from volcano to missile, and so I don't know if you guys have heard about the Alfred Nobel story. Alfred Nobel was actually known for creating dynamite, and that he actually woke up one day to his brother had passed away, and he woke up to his obituary and saw them say that the merchant of death is dead. And he saw that and he's like, wow, I need to make a change. I didn't realize people thought of me this way. And today he's known for the Nobel Peace Prize, not for death. And so we always talk about people that they can make a change. I made a change in my life, but you've made a huge change also. You went from volcano to missile. You made a change. And just what did that look like? What was that like family wise? And you know, what happened before, what happened after? You know?
My first episode is a volcano when I was 3 years old. So I'm playing my second sister, but there were four of us within 5 years. And she beat me in checkers, so they had to cut my hands out of her hair because I was trying to pull her hair out.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get beat.
Yeah.
Is that 3?
That's at 3.
Oh
Yeah, that's a part of my personality. I mean, I've been thrown out of every sporting event known to man. I've fought all of my cousins. I've bitten all of my cousins because they were all bigger than me. So if they'd whip me, I'd come back and bite them because I'm going to win. Because, you know, the old Ricky Bobby movie, if you're not first, you're last. Hey, that's the way I thought. Because I had to get value from winning. But me doing that and managing my two boys from 0 to 10 to 11 years old, and she kept saying, Greg, you got to calm down. You can't be this tough on these kids. And I just look at her and go, oh yeah, I can too. Yeah, this is because I'm gonna make them mean.
Yeah.
Well, the Holy Spirit, when I hadn't given my life to Christ yet, something in my spirit was saying, this is not going to turn out good for you. Making them mean is not going to turn out good for you, Greg, because they're going to be so mean you can't even handle them. So that's when that's the pivot point. Then because you got to find a reason to stop the direction you're going in.
Right.
Yeah.
And for me to see them not being good people, so I had to lay down them being the best in whatever sport they were playing. I had to lay that down so they could be a better person.
Oh God.
That doesn't mean I don't want them to be competitive and be the very best that they could be, not the best, because the's a singular word. There's only one the best. There's only one the. But everyone can be their best.
Yeah.
So that's when I flipped that script from being a volcano to demanding them to be the best. I flipped that to a missile. Now, how do I navigate helping them be their best? Because I headbutted my oldest son when he was 9 years old in a basketball game.
He was coaching.
I was coaching.
Okay.
So long story short, he's not doing what I told him to do. I call a timeout. So I grab him. I just headbutt him. Do what I tell you to do.
Mm.
So that's that volcano.
Okay, now.
So a
Which is
volcano
kind of interesting.
explodes and seeps all over everyone, kind of thing, and
Yeah.
destroys things in its pathway. But your missile,
But a missile is, somebody's got to design a missile, which God's the designer.
Right.
Okay. So, but he needs someone to draw it. He needs someone to order all the parts, ship the parts, and put the parts in. That's all those people in your life that are helping you build that missile. Then the commander, which is God, tells that missile what to do. Not for Greg's purposes, for his purposes.
Mm-hmm.
so it's a pinpointed
No.
direction, a pathway it's on would be your missile.
So now, probably 2 or 3 months ago, both of my sons said, "Dad, you're probably the most calm person that we know." I was like,
Wow, that's quite
That's
a
quite a-
I
difference.
was like,
Yeah.
oh, what did you say again? I said, "Oh yeah, you've changed. You're not the same person that you were." Because I knew that legacy, I didn't want that legacy to be that I didn't give them the best tools, the best resources, so they could be their best, not the best.
Right.
And for me to look at them and know that I didn't do my best for them based on what God wants me to do, not what I want to do, that's the volcano. The transformation to a missile is doing what God's telling me to do. Because I woke up in my bed in Shreveport, Louisiana, in a cold sweat one night, and the Holy Spirit was choking me, saying, "You're ruining your kids." So I actually walked into the bedroom. They were probably 10, 11 years old. They had bunk beds. So I got on my knees. I figured, literally, no, figuratively, picked them up, laid them at the foot of the cross, drew a cross, and I just put them there, and I just cried out to God. I said, I don't know what to do. Speak through me to them so they can know who you are. I want them to be their best for you, not for me. See, that's the transformation. This ain't about me, Craig. Did you ever tell me that? Yeah, I think she told me. This is about them. And that's the transformation that took place that night.
That's incredible. But it's so interesting to me because now one of your sons, is he in pro football, college football? Which
Yeah, he plays professional football.
professional. So how is that transition where you still created that competitive spirit that be the best, but you shifted your ways? So like, what did that look like?
Just encouraged him more, ask more questions, quit demanding, be there for him, listen to him.
You were more approachable.
And he still turned out
Yep.
super great.
Now you're right. Then our oldest son, he played college football as well. So
yeah.
So
yeah, they're
it's
both
just
competitive, and they're both so even keeled. I think they had to be growing up because they had a volcano at first to deal with. You just have to, learn how to kind of coast through this. We're going to get through this, but
so they negotiated with the head union negotiator. Their mom, they negotiated. They were probably 13, 14, and they negotiated a 5-minute rule because they must have went to their mother and say, "Mom, Dad gets on these rant and raves, and he goes on for 30 or 40 minutes, and I lost him after 5 minutes."
And I'm sure everyone has been in that moment. Somebody's just talking and talking, and your eyes glaze over, and you're no longer listening, and that kind of thing. So it was a 5-minute rule. We all negotiated.
So we got a contract, signed it. So from that point on, if I got on a roll and started just, because I would tell them, said, I don't have to, if I tell you once you do it, I won't tell you again. And they look at me and go, "Well, you got a point there. Yeah, do what I'm asking you to do. I won't tell you again." So if I got on my soapbox, give them I call it the Newt Rockne speech. And Newt Rockne's a famous college football coach back in the 30s. And they could raise their hand. In that 5 minutes, I'd have to quit. So they'd raise their hand. I'd just walk off and go into my closet and just keep talking so I could get it out.
Get it out. Did they ever raise your hand after a minute?
Like I'm done.
No, we had a pretty good judge.
No.
Mickey was a pretty good judge of keeping that balance, of keeping us together. So
yeah.
Yeah.
How was that for you, Mickey?
What's that?
How was that time frame for you? What was that? What was your experience through this transition of change?
Yeah, well, you know what? I guess we're all just always in our own transformation. We're all growing, we're all changing, we're all learning better ways and trying to adapt to them. So I was also changing. And
Changing and pursuing God.
yeah, we both gave our life to Christ after our children were born. So, we're all learning new ways, and I didn't really grow up in, a regular church family. You did. So, so much of it was new to me. I was the one that, I didn't know what a devotion was. I didn't know what a disciple was. Those are words that are not in everybody's world if you didn't grow up in church.
Right.
And
Tell them a story about my mother.
so when we were engaged, and his mom told me this story later after we were married for years, but we got engaged, and the church ladies,
Pentecostal church ladies.
yeah, at his mom's church, they were telling his mom that, oh, you don't need to let Greg marry her. You don't, she's not going to church. She's not a good, she's growing up in, a different religion if she did go to church. So you probably don't need to let them marry. And it went on for a while, but finally one day his mom said, you know what? Sometimes God doesn't give you who you pray for. God gives you who needs you.
Wow.
Watch me cry again.
Yeah.
But it was really truly her life, his mom, her life lived out in front of me. That changed my heart and made me want to know more about God, and made me pursue God, because she just lived it. She wasn't, Mickey, you need to be in church. Mickey, you should be reading your Bible. Mickey, are you going to church? Mickey, what do you do?
Yeah.
She just loved people. It was in her everyday conversation about, well, God says, and she just kind of, would respond with information. And, it's just the wisdom and her grace and mercy that pulled me that direction. Yeah. So,
It goes to show you, for us to share the gospel of Christ, our actions mean a lot more than our words.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
It's not what we say, it's what we do. It's how we make people feel.
So good.
Yeah, she just welcomed me, loved me.
That's
Have a
awesome.
great night.
I trained her well how to do that too.
No, okay.
So one of the things I like to do in this podcast, and which I again appreciate, you guys coming on, is Mickey, if you speak a little bit to the women, the young ladies. I like putting people like you in front of Madison. So she has, you mentioned just a few minutes ago, examples. You had an example, somebody to see. And so the more people, the more examples that I can put in front of Madison's age group, and even other ladies whose stories are the same as yours, that they now have an example that they can do. Tell us about how did you in your professional career, because you're a successful realtor, and I don't even know all to the extent of your professional career, but what's it like to be, have a profession, still raise a family, raise two strong boys, be wife to a strong, personality type, what's that look like?
Well,
What's that look like?
what does that look like? I did from college, I chose my career or my degree because I knew I wanted to be a mom one day, and education is what I was in first. I first was a competitive gymnastics coach. That was my first career. But my degree was in education. So I eventually went to teach because I wanted to kind of have that same schedule as my children, and, same time off and that kind of stuff. I wanted to do something, but I didn't want to sacrifice all my family time to do it. And so that career worked out great for raising a family. So I actually worked at the school my boys went to, and then I changed to real estate after they graduated from high school, a few years after that. But I always wanted to pursue something, have my own thing. There was always a drive in me. I had to go and conquer something of my own a little bit. But I had many seasons of doing too much, overdoing. I'm on this committee and that committee and serving here and serving there. And, you know, what's the saying is that if God can't make you bad, he'll make you
Make
busy.
you busy.
Yeah. So I went through many times of having to just so pull back the reins and have to reevaluate and reprioritize and that kind of stuff. And it's not fun. I could be a yes girl, you know, but it's hard to say no sometimes. And but it can completely get out of whack if you don't stay on top of it and stay intentional about it. But yes, family is a priority. It's still, even though my kids are grown, it's still a priority. I just think the older we get, and you know, the real estate career can be any day, all day of the week, especially in our crazy market right now. It's nonstop, and we have to just stop and be intentional and say, hey, we've got to schedule this with the family, you know, or we've got to get us all together, a dinner or anything, you know. Our kids, we're so grateful. They both live in Nashville now. The second one moved here this year, and the other one 2 years ago. So I'm so grateful, but I could go, you know, it could so easily be that you don't see your family for weeks and they live right down the street. And one of them's a half mile from us. So, and
57 seconds.
57 seconds. Yeah.
57 seconds away from Papa.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
So yeah, it's keeping a hand on both, you know, just prioritizing God, family, and then my career.
Right.
But it's always been a battle, but one that's so worth it.
So that's why I love your word legacy, because she's got to be in the now, what's important now, because I'm putting legacy in them right now.
Right.
Mhm.
Right now, we're building a legacy into our grandchildren right now. How
Right.
they goes from 0 to 7 years old is 85% of what you know.
Yeah.
So what are they going to remember about Papa? I'll take personal accountability here, because I think about that. So that changes my behavior, because I want them to have a good impression of me, of that 0 to 7 years old, that I was down on their level, playing with them, talking to them, having fun with them.
Yeah.
So that's going to confirm later when I need a relationship with them, when I can sit down and have a hard conversation with them.
Right.
Yeah, that's so
Because correction without a relationship equal rebellion. Because I knew when my boys were getting older, one of their coaches told me that, and he looked at me and said, "Do you have a relationship with your boys?" I went, "Well, did God tell you something?" He said, "I know you don't, Greg. I just want to make sure you know that, because the older they get, you're going to have to inspire them more than tell them. And the only way you're going to inspire them is have a relationship with them, one that's based on trust." So I had to start dating my teenagers. That's spending time with them, asking them questions, hanging out with them. Because I'm not a hangout guy. I'm an acts of service guy. I got to work. I got to do something. If I want value, I go conquer something. I go do something. I got to see something unfold. The building a relationship, that's a long-term process.
Yeah.
Man, I had to change my whole paradigm. My pair of nickels and a pair of bucks too. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But
And that's what Madison and I talk about. I mean, it's just, you know, our relationship was built on inconvenience, and when their children need us, it's never at the convenient time. And so just to know that when they need us, it's like, well, everything else in life drops, and we focus on them, and we just spend time and talk to them.
Yeah, being present is so big, so huge in the whole thing.
You made that shift too, Greg, on, you know, where, you know, you're so career focused and go, and then you just realize, man, I need to spend time and focus on the family here too in that transition.
Right. Yeah, those are tough decisions for anybody that's progressing in their career. I mean, she made a lot of tough decisions not to do certain things because she's going to lose time with her boys. So
Right.
I commend her for doing that, because I was so egotistical being that volcano in that transformation, even the volcano. I'm not giving up anything I'm doing. You're going to have to give up everything that you're doing. That's the way I was thinking.
Yeah.
But she's the only one that really kept us all together. I give her the credit for that.
Yeah.
Because I was so involved in me. I got to go do something to bring myself value. So I was just reading Exodus 20 yesterday, which is 10 Commandments. And rule number 1 of the 10 Commandments is have no other gods before me. Well, I was the God. See, to me, that's what our society's doing right now. We're God. I get because I'm me. Well, that makes you a God. Well, we broke rule number 1 of the 10 Commandments.
Right.
If you break rule number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the rest of them don't work, at some point we got to go back to rule number 1. If rule 8 doesn't work, to 7, to 6, to 5, I got to find the problem in the process here.
We have a lot of opportunity for other gods in our lives these days, just with all of our social media and just the abilities to go and access any kind of information at any time. There's a lot of distractions that can become a god in our world right now.
And we're a very wealthy country.
Yeah.
I mean, we're drinking what, $6 coffees that cost 50 cents, looking at a $1,000 phone, and we're complaining. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Put it that way.
I've seen worse than that, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people's got it worse 10 to 20 miles from here. They don't have that.
Right.
So that's what the Church of God is supposed to do, the Church of Jesus Christ. We're supposed to go help those people. And that's our duty as a Christian, to go help people that can't help themselves, the widows, the orphans. That's our responsibility.
Amen. So, let's see, you've recently had started, I saw on your website, you started talking about, started talking about your relationship with your dad and fathers and stuff. And I was wondering if you'd be, willing to address the topic of respect. You started talking about respect and how important that is, even in a relationship and foundation of a relationship.
Well, to me, trust would be probably the most important thing, because to me, trust is the electricity of a relationship. Then you have dialogue, conversation. Then respect is just looking at each person and saying, hey, you're a 10. And I got this from John Maxwell. He says, look at every person that you don't know and give them a 10. Don't listen to Bill, Johnny, Susie, and Samantha tell you about Bill.
Right.
Give Bill a 10. He's a 10. Now you go engage and you get to know Bill. And I'm going to respect Bill because he's a human being, period. I don't need to know any other thing than that right there. He's a living, breathing human being. And God says, I love that person. If I want to honor God, rule number 1, I love that person. I got to get to know that person, and I'm giving him a 10. Now, what he does from there in our interactions is if the score go up or down. Because my job is to keep him a 10.
Right.
My job's not to tear him down. I don't think that's anywhere in the good book. But my job is to keep him at a 10. What can I do to help him stay a 10? Everybody else says he's a 1. I say he's a 10. That's my relationship with him. Because life's about one-on-one relationships. We want to group everybody into these labels. It doesn't work. I have enough energy and discernment and wisdom about myself to go have a conversation with one person and get to know that one person.
I wonder, so did you used to think this way as well, or was it that transition that helped that mindset? Like, did you used to see everybody as a 10, or did you see them as you were better than them?
I would say, me being a competitor, and if you're not first, you're last, I felt I had a fear of rejection on my life and sense of unworthiness on my life. I mean, they call it, he's got a chip on his shoulder, which makes you a great athlete. Because I'll run through the wall, I'll fight anybody, I'll take on anybody, I'll outwork anybody. So that chip on my shoulder really drove my athletic prowess, which made me very successful in playing football in college.
Mm-hmm.
But to be a dad and a husband and a friend, that doesn't work, man. That's obsessive behaviors that I had. And it's like, still today, my friends will go, hey, Greg, is Mickey coming with you? Yeah, she'll be there. Good. We'll give you about 30 minutes. You become very boring after 30 minutes, but Mickey's a lot of fun, though. Make sure you bring your wife. I said, hey, buddy, I love you too. I said, well, you're boring after 30 minutes. You get all the rah-rah out, and you're sitting there going, I have nothing to talk about. So that's a little bit about my personality, but I'm trying to change to find more connectivity with people.
We're always in that process of changing.
Always
developing.
We will never achieve what God's created us to be, because that mountain is so tall. His expectation of it is so big. Yeah. But man, that journey of trying to get there that's what you got to embrace. That's what you got to enjoy. To know that I will never get to the top of the peak, but man, he's going to be so proud of us if we just keep digging, take another step, take another step, take another step. And you walk in, good job, faithful servant.
Yeah.
So good.
I think part of that, development, one of the biggest life lessons to learn over the years was, that everybody's going through something, and everybody is not who they're being in that moment. Doesn't make them to have a label on them. In raising children, I had to learn that, if he's being this way right now, that doesn't mean it's going to be this way his whole life. That everybody's in their own little season of learning and growing, and meeting people for the first time, and maybe they're not so nice, or maybe they do something that's unkind, or that doesn't mean that's who they are on the inside. And always, they could be in the middle of having a bad day, so just trying to give that grace, and keep an open mind, like you were just saying, give them a 10 first, and give some grace.
Right.
Everybody needs grace.
Amen.
I feel like it's a miracle we're married right now. Marriage is a roller coaster. Parenting is a roller coaster.
Right.
Life
All of it.
roller coaster.
Hang on, just for the ride.
We both agreed with this. We had a conversation about this probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, because if someone asked me, how did y'all stay married through all that? Well, we both fell in love with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
She was on her course, I was on my course, and we just fell apart from each other. And I saw her growing. See, that was another pivot point for me, going, she's growing without me. Meaning, Greg, if you don't do something different than what you're doing, she's going to grow beyond you, and you can't go with her. Not that she don't want you to go, you just can't go with her mentally and spiritually. So I started to fall in love with Jesus, and I started reading the Bible. Then I started finding out who I was. Then I started finding out that I have value in me besides being a jock or a business person. I can do other things besides those 2 things. And that's when peace starts entering. You start becoming calmer, and you start becoming focused on other people, because I don't need anybody to tell me that I'm good. I can wake up every morning, look in the mirror and go, I like that guy in the mirror. At 42 years old, when I said I liked the guy in the mirror, that's when I had peace. Because that guy in the mirror always let me down. He could never give me what I wanted. So I was always mad at the guy in the mirror. I wanted more out of the guy in the mirror. I could never give enough.
Yeah. Well, I think it'd be safe to say too, you're a life coach, business coach, leadership coach, and this is we shared a little bit at lunch here that, that's one of the main lessons that you give people in their life coach. Wouldn't that be accurate?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And people today just got that for free. What people are paying lots of money for Greg to hear.
My job as a child of God and a follower of Jesus Christ is to love people and add value to their life. So,
right.
Anytime I can do that, that's what motivates me.
Right.
Yeah. So good.
Because I know what it feels like to feel like you're not good enough.
Right.
When I'm willing to die in a football game and I can't feel my neck and I can't see and I keep playing because this is going to show everybody how big and bad I am, because this is the only way I get value, to have that sense of worthiness on you and feel that stress that I've got to do more and I'm not good enough. I don't want anybody. Everybody feels that, but man, it's got to be warriors around them, encouraging them. Hey, you're more than that. Come on, you're more than that. Don't worry about what they're saying. Let's worry about what God's saying.
Right.
Look at your fingerprints and go, there's nobody else like me.
So good.
I'm a mold. It's been broken. He's got a plan for me. Now I've got to go slide my hand into that digital reader, which will open the door of my destiny for me.
So good.
So good.
So wrapping it up here a little bit, we got one final question for you guys, if you'd address this. So you get, all your experiences. I know we shared so much great life lessons here. If you had one thing to tell the next generation, life lesson to help build to the next, their legacy, to the next generation, or just to life in general, what's the biggest life lesson that you've learned, or that you would be willing to, that you would want to share with people?
You have one?
I've got mine.
I kind of said mine is that, you know, everyone's in.
I didn't have one when we were talking about it pre podcast. I said, "There going, I don't know," but I knew the Holy Spirit inside of me would plug that what He wanted me to say into my.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, Mickey, you did touch on that a little bit,
Yes.
the life lesson.
Yeah. Just being that everybody's going through something, to give grace. I think, you know, I just think relationships are huge. We touched on that a little bit too, that, you know, a relationship is so important if you're going to inspire anybody or make a difference in anyone's life, that that relationship needs to be there, has to be there in order to get that out of them. But yeah, so since we talked on mine, I'll let you go. Tag your.
Was that it? What was yours again? I was thinking about something. No, I'm just kidding. No, probably my biggest lesson in life was after I failed in business. It took me like 8 months to embrace that failure. That's a process to go through. I mean, that's a major event in my life that I had to, because the first 2 months I denied it. Then I embraced it and I cried under my desk for like 30 to 40 minutes of getting all of that anger and resentment and bitterness and blaming people, got it out of my system. Said, oh, now what are you going to do now? So God, through that process of healing, He was showing me the things that He wanted me to learn. Because through that failure process, if you embrace it and you listen to God, He's going to tell you every lesson you need to learn to get to your destiny. And the number one lesson was plans fail due to lack of counsel, but plans succeed due to many advisors. I didn't take advice. My business failure was all due to I did not take advice. Because I had my financial advisor saying, Greg, you can't grow this fast. You don't have enough cash. But I'm getting people to loan me money. I know, because you're making money, the economy's going to turn. You're not ready for that. We got to strengthen your equity position up. I didn't listen to them. That was the death of me.
Wow.
Because I would tell everybody, if you don't like the path that you're on, go find. We've been mom and dad to many kids of Trey and Trent's friends. Go find somebody like that. Find a coach you trust. Find a minister you trust. Find somebody at your church you trust. Go ask them, say, help me. Go ask for help. I never asked anybody for help my whole life. But I do now. I even might ask her for help. I don't know about that. That's a tough one there.
On a really good day.
Yeah, it's just ask it. Yeah, go get advice. Go get counsel. That's why I'm leadership coaching now, because I took my boys to individual coaching classes. I know we send them to reading classes, getting ready for ACT classes, math classes, speed training, conditioning training, skill training in different sports, because one-on-one coaching can help you become the very best version of yourself. No question about it.
And just seeking out those role models. We had amazing parents, in front of us that we got to learn from. When you see it and you can see how they're handling different situations as in parenting and relationships and that kind of stuff. So getting with community, I think, is just so huge in order to glean from everyone and taking all the best pieces of everyone and trying to create your own strong foundation,
Yeah. As a young person, like coming up to somebody that you admire, how would you like to see that approached? Like, how would one do that? Do you just come up and say, like, help me, or what does that look like?
I did a man camp speaking engagement in Kentucky, and I spoke on Foundation of a Father, and I told some stories about my relationship with my dad, and a kid must have had a similar thing that happened, because he came up to me and said, Mr. Taylor, can I talk to you for 10 minutes? I said, sure.
You're saying that's a way to
just say, hey, can I have 10 minutes of your time?
And to pick your brain.
Then that person, God's going to be telling him to listen to this child. What does he need from me, not from you? Mm-hmm. See, that's the transformation. I want to tell you about me. Let God speak through me to them.
Yeah. That's
when you become a conduit for God, because that's what He's called us to do. And we have that spirit in us that will tell that person exactly what God wants them to hear. But we got to be very calm and very still in that process of being that missile.
Yeah.
And so many times as life coach, and like, if someone were to come up to you, isn't that the dream situation? Like, people are seeking us out and you're like, you only want 10 minutes? Like, I'll give you everything I got, you know? 'Cause-
Well, you understand my sons, I could talk to them for 3 hours, but they cut me off at 5 minutes.
yeah. Well, but they didn't come to you. You came to them.
Well, here's a great story. My oldest son, he had some issues going on, and he was 18. So he came to me, hey, Dad, I need some help. Okay, I'll give you some advice. And I said, my 5 minutes is up. And he said, go ahead, Dad. I'm listening.
Nice. Yeah.
I just started crying. He's like, Dad,
Yeah.
what are you crying for? I went, you trust me. I've always trusted you. I said, no, you didn't. You're allowing me to speak into you, and you want more of what I can give you.
Wow.
That means everything to a father.
Yep.
This thing about God, when we ask God and we have straight conversations with God, he just smiles down. That's the way I want you to talk. Because I've had some yelling matches at God before when I was mad. And I could just hear him after I broke and I was crying. It's like he's sitting next to me. He said, that's all I wanted you to do. I want you to tell me how you feel. Tell me how you really feel. Now let's work through that. It's okay to feel that way. But what are you going to do about it? Are you going to let it nest in your head? Or are you going to have people come around you to get that out of your head? And let's put the right thing in so you can take another step forward.
Wow.
So good.
I wish I could talk to you guys all night, to be honest with you, but
Yes. Just end right there. That was great.
Well, my wife would say, well, Greg could probably talk to you all now if you're asking questions. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, we're having a blast talking to you all.
Y'all are
This has been
awesome.
great.
This is great stuff.
Yeah. Well, we would love to have you guys on another session. So I mean, we do a lot of, right now we're just kind of talking about foundations of legacy, and we're going to have different series. Madison and I kind of broke it into, relationships. We got some financial topics, just things that can help people, kind of coach them through life, kind of sharing wisdom like what you guys are sharing with us tonight. That's so going to bless so many people and help them along the way. And for those listening, here's just another example of people who made changes, conscious changes in their life, and who are now examples for many to make changes in their life. And there's hope for you. If you're in that position, man, just go find somebody like Greg and Mickey said, go find somebody in your church or local community and just ask for help. And you'll be surprised how many people are there to help you.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
Sure.
People want to help people, but people are not going to go ask them, hey, you need my help.
Right.
Yeah. So to end, let's tell people where they can find you, where they can find your business, Greg. Any social media and stuff.
Yeah. I'm Winning Edge. Is it?
Find your winning.
No.
Yeah.
On, who am I? Where am I? Okay. Social media, you can find me at Winning Edge Greg on all the social media platforms. My website is findyourwinningedge.com. You want to send me an email? It's greg@findyourwinningedge.com. So I provide professional speaking.
We'll
Yeah.
have those links for you on there and professional speaking opportunities. Yep. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, professional speaking services, individual and group coaching, and I developed my own leadership course called an inspirational leadership workshop called Take Another Step System. So.
And Mickey, where
And
can
I'm
we
in
find
real
you?
estate.
Yeah.
Okay. And social media is MickeyTaylorHomes.com, or at Mickey Taylor Homes. MICKUYTAYLOR.
MOUSE, Mickey Mouse.
Well, we'll have those links too to where people can find you guys and reach out to you on the messages below when we release the session. So
Awesome.
man,
Thank you
again,
guys
thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Yes.
Yes, thank you guys very
Thank
much
you.
for being on, and appreciate all your wisdom.
Yes.
We
Thank
love
you
your
all
all's
so much.
heart and all that you're trying to do and
Yeah.
help everyone. We appreciate you all being out there and putting this information out.
That's right. Be bold and brave and just do it for the Lord, and everything's going to work out great for you all. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us today on the Legacy Builders podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach us on any of our social media or email the questions to legacybuilderspodcast@gmail.com.